Hello, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel. My name's Michelle and I make lifestyle content, and today we are talking everything Salem, Massachusetts. We are approaching their most busiest season, and I want to give you my tips and tricks as somebody who goes at least once or twice a year. I just wanted to share some of my knowledge, some things I've learned over the years of going, because I have gone anywhere from spring, summer to literally Halloween day. Share my knowledge, that way you can have the best experience possible, and share some of my tips and tricks, what I've done, what I've liked, what I want to do, and what I think is completely overrated. We actually just went last week and I brought my camera with me, so I took video clips of some of my favorite places, things you should check out. So as I'm kind of talking about these things, I'm going to insert the clips for you. So August, they'll start seeing an uptick in visitors. I don't know when they start decorating for Halloween and autumn, but it does get a little busier in August. September, if not mid-September, is definitely when they start decorating for Halloween. And then October, Halloween galore. They really play into the spooky traditional Halloween essence. So, and I think there's also like a witches market that they do other things, but I haven't been in October in quite a few years because it is so much more comfortable to do everything when it's not October. It's not the same vibe, it's not so high energy, but it's less crowded and everything is still open. I know in October they'll have like Halloween characters on the main street of Essex. We took a photo with Jack, we took a photo with a witch once. I think there's there's Freddy, there's all of those people. So the vibe is different. I would suggest going in September, if not early October, but you could still go in peak Halloween time. So yeah, so without any further ado, let me hop into what I think you should do, my recommendations, and yeah, hope you enjoy. For the most part, Salem is a very walkable city. There are some cobblestone streets, so I don't know how that would work for somebody who uses a wheelchair, but there are a lot of streets that aren't cobblestone, so I think you can be able to maneuver your way around, but just kind of keep that in mind. Wear comfortable walking shoes because of those streets where it gets a little uncomfortable to walk if you're wearing anything that's like a high heel. If you even put in maps Salem, Massachusetts, there are so many things you can do within this walkable city, which is so nice. They have many different coffee shops to food to little shops to poke into. So you will not be bored if you're into this sort of stuff. So, parking. In the off season, you will find parking pretty easily. I tend to park in what's called, I think it's the Witch City Mall, which is located near Essex Street. If I use this lovely, thank you, SalemTrolley.com, this Salem Trolley map right over here. So when I say mall, it's not like your typical mall. You're not going to find like your Francesca's, your Old Navy, your Ulta, that type of stuff. It's very much geared towards Salem. Use the Salem Trolley. I'll link it down below. It shows like their map of their tour, but then it also shows like areas for parking on that map, which I really enjoy. Everything that's located as parking is an easy walking distance to another point that you might need to get to. So in the off season, definitely use that. During the craziness that is September and October, get there early if you want to park. Like literally figure out when these parking lots open, the parking garage opens, get there early. Otherwise, you're not gonna find parking, unfortunately. My second tip is if you're going in September or October is to take the commuter rail into Salem. Once again, if we are looking at our trolley map, that is where the train will drop you off, and you are a few blocks away from where everything is happening. Also a few blocks away from where I typically park. If you're new to the commuter rail, what you're looking for is the Newbury Rockport line. And that one has a stop that leaves from Boston and will take you to Salem. Or there's 3 other stops before Salem. So see if there's parking at one of those 3 stops and you can park a little closer. That's what I recommend if you want to make your experience a little less stressful. You don't have to worry about parking. It is going to be chaotic in October. Less chaotic in September, but it is going to be crazy in October. So do yourself a little favor, take the train. As for places to stay, I know there is a hotel in Salem. I think there's 2 hotels right in Salem. I don't know how fast they book up, so I would suggest looking at Airbnbs. If you're thinking about going to Salem, start looking at the hotels. I've never had to stay in Salem, so do your research on that. I know one of the hotels, I think it's a Hawthorne Hotel, I've heard is haunted. Once again, I don't know how fast these places book up, so if you're thinking about going, check now. Or you could stay in Boston or one of the other cities that are on the train line. But the only thing is, if you're trying to do like a nighttime tour, I don't know how late they start, and the last train that leaves Salem Station is at, it looks like 11:10. So just kind of keep that in mind when planning. Otherwise, you might have to Uber back. So there's that. Number 3, bathrooms. They have in the past few years, so I'm hoping they still continue to do it. They put a bunch of porta potties kind of in different areas throughout Salem, but especially right in front of the National Park Service Visitor Center, which is right next to Essex Street and everything. So there is typically a line of porta potties there. Believe it or not, those are cleaner than the bathroom you are going to find in the Witch City Mall. There is a bathroom there, but it is, I think there's 2 or 3 stalls. It's always out of toilet paper, it's always out of soap, and it always has a line. So if you are against using porta potties, I would say bring a little bit of your own toilet paper and soap and maybe sanitizer if you plan on using that bathroom. There are also bathrooms in the National Park Service Visitor Center. I've never used them during September and October, so I don't know if they're open to the public during that time, but those are nicer bathrooms. A lot of the restaurants will have you make a purchase to get a bathroom code to use their restrooms. And that is pretty much year round. Even when I went in July, I know where the bathrooms are to go for free, but I had to use a bathroom and I was at a coffee shop that I just purchased a coffee and I couldn't get in and I had to ask for a code. So just keep that in mind. Plan maybe your coffee rounds and your food eating kind of around bathroom breaks or something. Otherwise, you are most likely going to be using a porta potty or a less than perfect bathroom. Number 4, tours that I have done. I've done 3 walking tours, 1 trolley tour, and then I also did 2 of the museums. All of the walking tours I've done so far have been enjoyable. There's so many of them, so many people run different tours. So if I can find the exact tours that I have booked, I will link them below. So I've done 1 history, that was the first one I ever did, and that one will walk you through certain locations in downtown Salem that are connected to the witch trials. So while also giving you a little bit of the history. So they'll stop in historic locations, give you the relation to the witch trials, but also maybe give you a little bit more history, because I think there was a building that they were talking about one of the founding fathers also went to. One of the cemeteries that you stop at, there's actually a pilgrim buried there from the Mayflower. So it's mainly witch trials focused, but they'll also throw in some history about some other things as well. So I did enjoy that. That was the first tour I did, and that really got me acclimated with the witch trials because I was young when I did that and I didn't really know a lot about the witch trials like I do now. I don't know all of it, but I know more because of that tour, and then from there I did my own individual reading. I've done 2 ghost tours, and both actually stopped at different locations. Like, there was some overlap in like maybe 2 or 3 of the locations, but a lot of them stopped at different locations and talked about different hauntings. And then one I did for my bachelorette, so hopefully my friend still has that like in like her Google Doc that she made of witch tours. I liked that one because the ghost tour guide had an iPad and she had like videos or photos of ghost happenings in those locations. So that was really cool. Where the other ghost tour I did, they just kind of talked about this area is haunted because of X, Y, and Z. So yeah, if I can find all these tours, especially the one I did on my bachelorette, I will link it below so that way you can find it. Once again, these things in the busy season book up, so book fast, okay? Okay, another tour museum that I did was the Witch House, which is this all black house. I think it's one of 2? One of 3? I can't remember, but there are a few all black house structures in Salem. This house belonged to Jonathan Corwin, who was one of the judges during the witch trials. I think he was like the lesser of the 2 because there was Hawthorne and then there was Corwin, and I think Hawthorne really took the lead and I think Corwin was not as much involved, but I could be so wrong. This is a self-guided tour, and fun fact, my husband actually proposed to me in this house. So the house has since moved. They've uprooted it and relocated it, so it's not in its original place of where it was during the witch trials, but it is the same house. There's artifacts in there, so I do recommend doing that one because that one is literally one of the structures from that time. So I recommend doing that. It's self-guided, so there are like guides in there that if you have questions, they can definitely help you. So I do recommend doing that. One of the last like tours that I do want to prepare you for, it's called the Salem Witch Museum. You might have seen this building before when people talk about Salem. It's called a museum. There is one artifact in this museum from that time. The rest is a telling of the Salem witch trials. So it's good to get a history on it. What you do is you first go into kind of like a theater. There's a bunch of bench seating, and above you are all these like wax figures, and they each depict different scenes of the witch trials, and they literally surround you. And it could be a little creepy when you first walk in there because there is, if you've never, if you're not involved in witchcraft and whatnot, then the pentagram might scare you, but they kind of teach you a little bit more about that. And then I think there is a devil statue in there as well. But what happens, so it does get dark, and then a spotlight will project on each of the scenes and kind of walk you through start to finish how it started with Tituba and went all the way to hanging the accused of witchcraft. So that's the first part, and then you walk into a back room where a tour guide will kind of talk about a little bit more of the timeline. They talk about Halloween, witches then versus witches now, and like I said, there's one artifact in there that is from the Salem witch time. So I wanted to prepare you for that, because when my husband and I did that tour, we're like, this isn't a museum. So keep that in mind. It is good and educational, but it's not a museum as I know it to be. So the other tour that I've done is the Salem trolley tour. That one goes a little bit further beyond the witch trials. So it does touch a little bit about it as you're driving through. He'll mention a couple of things. I had a male tour guide, so that's why I say he. But it also goes into like their maritime past, where I think there was whaling that happened, the docks, there is like a famous author, and it goes by different structures and kind of talks about the history of Salem. I think I've even talked about the fire of Salem, Massachusetts too. But yeah, that one's more history, less witch trials. So, but that one's nice as well if you have done Salem, you know about the witch trials enough where you can talk your way through it with somebody else, but you want a little bit more history about Salem. That one's still nice, and you get off your feet for a little bit, which I enjoy. Other things in Salem. So there are a few locations in Salem that are filming locations for Hocus Pocus, the first one. So there's one on Essex Street, not far from the witch house, which is that all black structure. That is where Allison's house, which is like one of the leading girls, the love interests, that was her house where they stopped at to trick-or-treat, and that's where the party was. Oh, there's the City Hall on Essex Street as well. When I went, it was under construction, so I hope they wrap that up by October or people are gonna be pretty upset. And then there's a cemetery, but that one's in Marblehead, Massachusetts. There is the Max and Danny's house. That one you have to drive a little further to. It's still in Salem, but it's not like walking distance from downtown Salem. And then I think the old Pioneer Village is where they filmed like the opening stuff with Binks and whatnot. But I could be so wrong. So if you're into Hocus Pocus, you can go to those locations. Hocus Pocus 2 was filmed in Rhode Island. So if you want to take the trek down to Rhode Island, you can go see those locations as well. It's not far. Also, this past weekend was when the first time I saw Allison's house. And there's a lovely walking garden behind that is open to the public. So feel free to check that out as well. And then I think next we're gonna talk about some of my favorite places to shop. There are quite a few places. I think I'm gonna pull up a map here. Now, my favorite places to shop. I almost want to like gatekeep them because they're so important to me, but there is so much different shopping that can be had in Salem. As I showed you, the just Apple Maps, there's so much to do and so many places to check out. But on Essex Street, since that's like the main shopping street, let's start there. There's anything from like clothing to like touristy stuff that will say Salem, Massachusetts, actual witchcraft stores that will sell materials to be used in the practice of witchcraft. So it just kind of depends what you want out of Salem. Famous, that's like, at least I've seen it on TikTok, famous, is called Die With Your Boots On. That is a store that has like all like goth and Halloween type of stuff in there. That is in the Witch City Mall, but I think you access it from the outside. Actually, I think from Church Street. Then also on Essex, there is the Village Silversmith. This place will have every crystal rock you can imagine in your life. They sell the tumbled, they sell them like raw, they sell jewelry with stones in it, and other than that, they just sell like, I think it's sterling silver jewelry in there as well. That place will have every rock you could ever imagine. That place is filled with rocks and crystals. Another beautiful store is called Coven's Cottage. They don't allow any filming or photography in the store, but it is so cozy and eclectic in there. They're always playing very immersive music is the best way. A lot of it is sometimes like Viking, Celtic music. They sell a lot of herbs in there. They do sell some crystals, candles, anything you could use for witchcraft is in there. They sell like bones for bone casting. Check out that store. They do limit the amount of people in that store at a time. So when I even went in September a few years ago, they were still having a line outside the building. So keep that in mind. But it is gorgeous in that store. It does get a little cramped, and that's why they kind of limit the amount of people. Stunning store. Also on Essex is called the Trolley Depot. That place has all like your kind of like touristy type of things, but it's well done. They have all the shirts that say like Salem, Massachusetts. And then there's other things in there. There's books, there's calendars. I think there's Christmas ornaments. There's statues, but that one's more like visitor, tourist focused. A place called Vampings, which I'm going to talk about later when I go into my haul. They sell loose leaf tea there. So good. Wicked Good Books. The Game Zone, which has all vintage games in it. Blackcraft, which is also another place that has all like gothic stuff in there. Everything in there I think is black. But it's very aesthetic in there. There is a coffee shop in the back. It's beautiful in there. There's Crowhaven Corner, which apparently there's a famous love witch that works there, or that is her shop or something of the sorts. That store is also beautiful, has a bunch of herbs, crystals, anything you need for the craft. But they also do a tour that I want to check out. So that store is really nice. Oh, Why Not Wands? Stunning. Chef's kiss. They sell nothing but wands in that store, but it's very, if you love Harry Potter, Ollivanders, 100% in there. So that is worth a shot. But there are a ton of stores on Essex Street, but those are some of the ones that I love to stop into. Then working the way more down towards there's like a wharf. There is a place called Pyramid Books. That place I think still sells crystals, like smaller ones and like not the expensive ones, for $1 a piece. And then they have another section that's a little bit more pricier where they can be up to $5 if not a little bit more. And they have the best book selection of witchcraft, occult type related books. So you can find anything from herbs, crystals, yoga, angels, healing, coloring books. That store, I love that store. And that store also has, by the register, a bunch of different oracle decks. And what I like is that they leave, for the most part, for every deck, a demo deck. So you can page through the deck and see if it like kind of talks to you. Do you like the art style? You can read through the book if it comes with one. So I always have to stop in that store because I love it. I love it. I love it. I wish that's the one I want to gatekeep for myself forever, but I want them to stay around for a long time, so I have to talk about it. And then there's kind of like this U by the wharf that has a bunch of different stores. There is a store called The Witchery. For my bachelorette, I had such a good bachelorette. They booked this broom making class. Hold on one second. And this was the broom that I made. Oh, it was so much fun. So if you're looking for something a little bit more crafty, I mean, this, especially if you have like a little group that you can go with, this was so much fun. So you pick out a handle. Oh, it still smells so good. You pick out a handle. There is short, medium, and then long, like a full length one. Then they give you the basic bristles. You get to pick out different colors. Everything, there's some stuff that's set with the price and there's some stuff that's an upcharge. My loving friends bought this for me because it was my bachelorette. I think you got one colorway. So I picked like this purple blue, then you got to pick out some flowers if you wanted, a wrap color, I picked out a little crystal with a crystal cage, and then this little hand guy. Still smells like eucalyptus. It's so good. So if you're looking for something a little bit more hands-on, The Witchery does broom making classes and book binding classes. They might offer more, but those are the two I know off the top of my head. And definitely, as we approach the busier time, book it. Oh, and then on Washington Street, which is kind of makes a T. It's perpendicular to Essex Street. There's a place called House Witch, spelled H-A-U-S Witch. So that place, they have a book called, I think, The House Witch, spelled once again like that, and this corresponds with it. But they do aura photography. I've never had it done, but apparently they take your photo and they can see the color of your aura. They also have, what I like in there is, what's that thing? Like a coin machine that when you turn you get like a random crystal, which is nice. But that store, they sell candles. It's very more like artsy, art deco in there, but they still have really cute things in there. So definitely check it out, especially if you've ever read that book. There is a place I'm forgetting. It's a new place I found this last time. I don't know if it's new. I don't know if I've just never seen it, but it's called The Lost Library. And it is stunning in there. Absolutely stunning. It has everything from little Halloween trinkets to witchcraft to the vibe in there is just immaculate. So I loved that store. I almost wanted to go back and get something, but I forgot about it. It was getting late on a Sunday and I know I had to be at work the next day, so I'll have to go back and check it out. And also a new place I checked out on Essex Street is a place called Witch City Wicks, and they make their own candles there. And the vibes are very beautiful in there as well. So yeah, those are my favorite stores. Some new, some I've gone to for years, and I love them so much. I love stopping in there. I always see something new. I could spend hours window shopping in Salem. It's crazy. So next we're going to talk about food. I haven't tried a lot of food in Salem because once I find a place, my husband and I are like, we gotta go there again. And we constantly end up going. So on Essex to Washington Street, there's a place called Flying Saucer Pizza Company. It's very sci-fi in there. Different types of pizzas, good drinks. They even do like a mystery shot. The pizzas are delightful. We've tried 2 of their pizzas. I think one of the pizzas we've had was called the Aubrey or the Aubrey 2 or something like that. And that has like prosciutto, fig jam, chef's kiss, amazing. When I went there for my bachelorette, I don't even remember what pizza we got because we were such a big group. We got 3 different pizzas. But the one I remember most trying is a pickle pizza, and that was really good. And then this last time I went, we got, I think it was called the Super Mario Brothers, and that one had a bunch of Italian meats on it, and it was, once again, chef's kiss, so good. Got a poutine. The poutine had good flavor. The one thing we wish we could change, it's fried cheese curds rather than like leaving them out to melt over everything. But otherwise, still the flavor was so good. We would get it again. So check that place out. I think it does get busy. I don't know if these places take reservations or not. A place we think is overrated but it's very popular is Rockefeller's. It's alright. They have food. You know, when my husband and I went many years ago, he was disappointed in his burger and we've kind of never gone back since. We've been to the Village Tavern, which is kind of tucked in the back in Essex Street. It's like on the main Essex Street, but you have to kind of like walk towards it. It's in back of like a fountain area. But I don't think the fountain like is ever running, but it's back there. When we went, we got roast beef sandwiches with truffle fries. So good. And I think those are like the main food places. We did try out a new pizza place. This was more down towards the wharf. I think it was called Amazing Pizza, but they had pizza slices. And Jeremy loves a pizza by the slice. They just I think had pepperoni and cheese by the slice at the time, or that might be all they sell by the slice. So we got 2 slices of pepperoni pizza. I really enjoyed it. It had a good hold to it. It was a little greasy. Jeremy didn't like that the sauce was a little tangy, but I loved it. It was so good. If there's a couple things we noticed while walking around Salem, Salem loves pizza and burgers. Like every place we went to, it was like a burger place. Like we would read their menu and it listed burgers or pizza. So if you like burgers and pizza, go check it out. And then I just want to point out Charter Street Cemetery. This place has I don't know if you've seen them on like TikTok or you've heard people talk about them, has the memorial benches for each of the people who were accused and unfortunately killed for witchcraft. I say killed because there is one guy, Giles Corey, who was actually pressed to death. Read up on him. I could go into that for a while, but I don't want to. But you could see the benches for each of the people who were accused of witchcraft, as well as I go into the cemetery, and in the cemetery you could see I think it was like Judge Hawthorne, as well as that one of the pilgrims from the Mayflower is actually buried there as well. So I'm going to insert some clips of the memorial, as well as some renowned grave sites that coincide with the witch trials, as well as that one pilgrim. But there is a bunch of other places you can go in the cemetery, but these are the places that are just tied to the witch trials as well. But yeah, and then one other place that is not really walking distance from Salem, it's called Proctor's Ledge. And this is apparently the spot that the people accused of witchcraft were left to hang to death. And there's another memorial there, and people like to leave little gifts as well. So I'm going to insert that as well. It used to be behind a Walgreens. Walgreens has now closed. I was shocked. And it's just in this random spot, but it's called Proctor's Ledge if you ever want to look for it on your... If you're really into the history of the Salem witch trials, a lot of it takes place in what is present day in Danvers, Massachusetts. It used to be, so there was Salem Village in like downtown Salem, or like the city of Salem. Salem Village is where a lot of the things took place, but now it's called Danvers. So there is Samuel Parris's house foundation in Danvers. This is where Tituba lived, and kind of where the hysteria of the witch trials began. So yeah, you can kind of like, it's in between 2 houses. There's a walking trail, and you can like, I think even walk into the foundation. So if that is something that you're into, you could do that. So you can go to Rebecca Nurse's house. She was a 71-year-old lady who was unfortunately accused and later hanged for witchcraft. Her homestead is there. Apparently you could check out that. There's some artifacts as well. And then there's also the Witchcraft Victims Memorial. And it's, I guess, constructed either, one site said it's where the meeting house where the trials took place was, and then another site said it was like across the way from where the meeting house was. So that's another memorial. So yeah, definitely check out Danvers if you want a little bit more history as well that is in connection with the Salem witch trials. So the last thing I think I'm going to talk about is my haul. I do go to Salem, like I said, once or twice a year. So it's not a large haul, but it's still a haul, so I feel like I should share. And I went to Witch City Wicks, and I got my first candle from them in the scent Salem, and this smells like such a fall day, like a fall hug. And for this tin it was $6. $1.50. They do sell larger ones. They do sell like room sprays. The smell's so good. And then next is from Pyramid Books. That was that store that I talked about, the dollar crystals. And I actually got 2 agates, which is funny. One is a tree agate, and then the other is a moss agate. I chose the tree agate just because I don't think I had it, and now reading the little thing about it, it brings abundance to all areas of life, great for farmers and gardeners. So that's so cute. So I'm glad I grabbed that. And then the other one I grabbed was the moss agate, which actually, when I insert the clip, Jeremy picked this one out for me. I was looking for a stone that had to do with fertility, as my husband and I are looking to have kids in the foreseeable future, so I just wanted something that was focused on fertility. I also got a deck of oracle cards. My husband picked this out for me as well because I was stuck between 2. And I really liked this one because it was very simple. The photos were just very clear messages and had clear little words, and sometimes you just want something clear. You don't want to read into it so far, so that's what I got from Pyramid Books. I spent $28. And then we went to, not Salem related, we went to the Game Zone, and I bought a game there for $4.95. It is the Nintendo DS My Sims Kingdom. So I could play the original version of it versus playing it on the Switch. And then lastly, from Vampangs, I went and got a bag of loose leaf tea. I wanted this from the last time I went to Salem, sometime like 6 months ago. And I forgot to go back after we ate, so I had my heart set on getting a bag of loose leaf tea. It just smells good. It smells so good. This is the Vernal Dawn, and it's green tea, apple pieces, rose petals, lychee flavor, and rose flavor with moderate caffeine. It smells so good. So that is the haul. That is everything I can recommend from my standpoint as somebody who frequents Salem. Often, I'm not a local, but somebody who is local enough to give a few tips and tricks. If you have any questions or would like an opinion, I can try to help, so feel free to drop some questions about Salem below. I will also put all the links to tours that I remember, links to the trolley maps, that way you can see it as well. And yeah, if you're heading to Salem, let me know what you are most excited for. And if there's anything you would like me to do as a local New Englander that is Halloween related, I will check it out. I will give it a review. That is my favorite thing to do. I love traveling. So let me know. Thank you so much. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, as it really helps support me and my channel. And if you feel so inclined, please give me a subscribe as well. And until next time, bye.